Welcome. In this video, we're going to talk about solids of revolution. Specifically, we're going to talk about the disk method. So we're talking about the disk method. So the disk method has two different kinds of ways of doing it. Number one and number two. Number one is that we rotate about the x-axis. And number two is that we rotate about the y-axis. And of course, I'm gonna give you a little when I would use each one. Let's say your solid that we're gonna create. So let's say this is your x, this is your y, and then you have something like square root of x, the graph of square root of x, and you're gonna, let's say here it's b, and somewhere here you have your a, and you want to rotate about the x-axis. So there's no hollow, there's no hollow solid, so you're gonna rotate square root of x around the x-axis. So the way I would use this method using the x-axis rotation version. So the way that it looks is as follows. So basically the volume is going to be equal to the limit of delta x approach 0 of pi, and then summation of I equals from 1 to n of something called Rxi square delta x, and that's gonna be equal to the integral of a to b, and put a pi here, and then Rx dx. So basically, what does this mean here? That means that just like we've done area with integrals, the way we do volume is also with integrals. But instead of, so just like the method is called, is we're gonna take a little piece, and this little piece we're gonna rotate. So it's gonna create when you rotate a slab, you're creating a disk, but that disk is, the outside is shaped by your function. In this case, your function, this function here is your Rx. The Rx is, in this case, the square root of x. So basically, Rx is always going to be the height basically of your slab. In case of the x-axis, it's going to be your height. So this is the height is your Rxi, or Rx if you're using the integral. Rxi means that you're dividing this into, so one little piece is called the ith piece. Okay, so now the width here is going to be delta x. So that explains here. So basically, Rxi is your function, and then your delta x is the width of the slab that you're creating. So in this case, your volume is going to be equal to for this particular function Rx is going to be, if you wanna revolve your slab here from A to B, it's going to be from A to B, of course, by here. So what is your Rx? Your Rx is going to be your square root of x, and then we square it and delta x. And then you have to compute it and you get your volume. So basically, this will be your formula for this one. Now let's look at how we would use this method for something that we rotate about the y-axis. So let's say you have your x and this is your y, and then you have your function so this will be y equals x squared. Okay, so now again we're gonna, instead of this is around the x, so basically this will be about, we'll rotate about the y-axis. We're gonna create a horizontal slab. So now instead of rotating here, we're gonna rotate here about the y-axis. So now we're gonna rotate from here to here. Let's say this is your A, this is your B. Or we can put it let's put it here. A to B, and we're gonna rotate. Okay. So now this will be your delta y. And of course here that will be your RYI. Okay. Okay, so the volume would be lim as delta y approaches 0 of the sum from I1 to n of r yi square delta y, and of course that is equal in integral form from a to b, or we can call it from, let's call it c to d to make difference. Okay, so that will be pi c to d of r y delta y dy. So for this case, we do the same thing. So the value is gonna be equal to, of course, your y here will be we need to switch y and x first to get to find a function in terms of y. So that would be y is equal to x squared. That means that we have to take the square root, and then x is equal to square root of y. Okay, so now this will be pi, and then your c is 0, 0, so that will be 0 to d, and then square root of y, square dy. And there you have your formula. So notice the difference here. We have a vertical slab, and here we have a horizontal slab. So that's the main difference in between the rotating about the x-axis and rotating about the y-axis. This is this method. Thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe to my video, please.